In the history of the Crusades, some say he protects the kingdom with his broken body. He was the most regal of all the kings of Jerusalem. Suffering from leprosy, he was unable to manage the kingdom effectively, thus leading to the division and decline of the kingdom. But it left its mark on history. He is suffering from an incurable disease. At the age of 16, he defeated the famous Saladin, forced Saladin to delay his plan to recapture Jerusalem. This video will take you through the life of Baldwin IV in one go. In 1161 AD, Baldwin IV was born in the royal palace in Jerusalem. His father was Amalric I, who was king of Jerusalem. He was a very tough king, busy all day long, waging war with neighboring countries. His mother had to temporarily leave the royal family, so they couldn't take care of their son too much. When Baldwin IV was 9 years old, let Baldwin IV have a good education. Amalric I entrusted his son to William, Archbishop of Tyre. William was a famous priest and scholar who was very famous in Jerusalem at the time. During his time with William, Baldwin IV learned many things. He has very good memory and likes to listen to historical stories. During that time, William discovered that Baldwin IV felt no pain in his right arm. He then told Amalric about this, and Amalric invited an Arab doctor to treat his son. The doctor suspected Baldwin IV because the symptoms were unclear and he could only continue to observe the condition. During the process of learning to ride a horse, he spent more effort learning than a normal person. However, according to William, compared to his peers, Baldwin IV was very determined. The disease did not weaken him. Instead, he was optimistic about his condition. At the age of 13, he inherited his father's throne. Because Baldwin IV was young at the time, his cousin Raymond was elected regent. During his succession, Baldwin IV's condition also began to deteriorate, and the nobles of the kingdom began to dislike their king because he cannot get married and have children. In 1176 AB, Baldwin IV came of age. He began to officially take control of the kingdom. Before that, Regent Raymond had actively soothed relations with Saladin and tried to sign a peace treaty. He believed that Saladin's growing power needed to be restrained, but after seeing the situation clearly, he believed that Saladin's advance on Jerusalem was only a matter of time. Any peace treaty is just a delaying measure. The result was in the fall of the second year. It was reported that Saladin was planning an attack on Jerusalem. After Baldwin IV learned of this, he personally led more than 300 knights out of Jerusalem to strengthen Ascalon's defenses. This time, he went to fight Saladin's army. This was the first time Baldwin IV participated in the war. At that time, he was only 16 years old and about to enter an important moment in his life. In October of the same year, Saladin led an army of 20,000 men toward Jerusalem. The Crusaders successfully broke through under the leadership of Baldwin IV. Because Baldwin IV's soldiers were small in number, Saladin believed that Baldwin IV did not dare to confront him directly, so he spread his troops into open areas. This will make looting supplies easier. As a result, on November 25, the army led by Baldwin IV encountered Saladin in the Montgisard area. Baldwin IV had just over 4,000 soldiers, but he still decided to take the lead in attacking Saladin's army to boost morale. Baldwin IV ordered the Vera Croca to be erected in front of the army. After prayer, command duties were assigned to Leonard. He was Saladin's sworn enemy and had been released from prison in Aleppo a year earlier. The Crusader attack caught Saladin off guard. Their battle lines were too spread out, and their soldiers were unprepared for a war under the threat of the Crusaders. Saladin's army was quickly defeated. Countless soldiers died on the battlefield. Saladin's nephew was also beheaded by Leonard himself. After Saladin's army began to retreat, Raynald took advantage of his victory and pursued it until dusk. Saladin escaped the battlefield on a camel protected by his guards. Then they were attacked again by the Bedouins. In the end, only a half of the soldiers escaped and returned to Egypt. Victory at the Battle of Montgisard. But this battle could not save the weakened kingdom of Jerusalem. In 1179, Saladin's army returned. They defeated the Crusaders at the Battle of Montgisard. Baldwin IV, who was no longer able to ride a horse, escaped from the battlefield under the protection of his knights after his defeat at the Battle of Montgisard. In August of the same year, Saladin defeated the Crusaders at the Battle of Jacob's Ford and captured a castle in the Kingdom of Jerusalem. Faced Saladin's powerful attack. Baldwin IV finally signed a truce with Saladin in 1180. However, shortly after the armistice was signed, the belligerent Reynold led an attack on the Ayyubid caravan and refused to hand over the looted goods. In 1182 AD, Reynold repeatedly attacked the Ayyubid caravans. Saladin once again waged war against the Kingdom of Jerusalem. However, no large-scale conflicts broke out between the two sides. At this time, Baldwin IV was as weak as his kingdom. His condition continued to deteriorate, and he became blind. In 1183 AD, Baldwin IV passed the crown to his 6-year-old nephew. At this time, he was no longer able to rule the country due to the worsening situation. In the last years of his life, Baldwin IV was severely tormented by leprosy. He was powerless against the internal conflict within the kingdom and Saladin's attack. Perhaps as he lay on his deathbed, he recalled the Battle of Montgisard. The 16-year-old boy who famously defeated Saladin died of illness.